The penthouse of Sterling Technologies shimmered like a palace from a forgotten era. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the San Francisco skyline, the city I had conquered with my relentless ambition. The Italian marble floors gleamed under the soft glow of custom-designed chandeliers that had cost more than most people's annual salaries. The walls were adorned with modern art pieces I had purchased at auctions where I had outbid tech moguls and Middle Eastern royalty. Damian Sterling, the self-made tech billionaire who had risen from a one-bedroom apartment in Queens to the pinnacle of Silicon Valley, stood at the center of my empire, wearing a Tom Ford suit that cost more than a luxury car, and I felt nothing but contempt for the woman sitting on the couch in the corner. My wife, Claire, was reading a book. She was always reading or gardening or cooking or doing something mundane that reminded me of where she came from. She was the daughter of a high school science teacher and a nurse, a woman who had grown up in a modest suburban home in Ohio. My venture capital firm had insisted on this marriage 5 years ago as a condition of their investment. The founders had wanted someone stable and grounded to balance my erratic nature. I had agreed, but I had resented it every single day. She was a constant reminder that I had sold part of my soul to build my company. Claire was beautiful in a quiet, unassuming way. Her chestnut hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders. Her hazel eyes were warm and kind. But she wore no makeup, no designer labels, no expensive jewelry. She was content to exist in the background, to be a quiet, supportive wife who never made waves. I despised her for it. She had no ambition, no drive, no desire to be anything other than a homemaker. She was the anchor that was holding me back, a reminder of my compromises. I had been seeing someone else for 18 months. Victoria Blackwood, a supermodel and socialite, was everything Claire wasn't. She was glamorous, ambitious, and exquisitely beautiful. She wore designer gowns like they were pajamas and could hold her own in any boardroom. She was also the woman who had been feeding me gossip about my rivals, helping me position myself as the king of Silicon Valley. Tonight, I was going to end it. I was going to divorce Claire and marry Victoria. I had already drafted the papers. I had already transferred our joint assets into my name. Claire would walk away with nothing but the clothes on her back. IT was the least she deserved for being such a pathetic excuse for a wife. I walked toward the living room, my footsteps echoing against the marble floor. Claire looked up from her book, her expression calm, serene, infuriating. Damian, dinner will be ready in 20 minutes. I made your favorite, chicken piccata. I'm not hungry, I said coldly. Put the book down. We need to talk. She closed the book obediently, as she always did. I stood over her, looking down with all the contempt I could muster. Claire, this marriage has been a mistake, I said. I never wanted to marry you to your burden, a liability, a constant reminder of my biggest failure. I've met someone else, someone who actually belongs in my world, and I'm filing for divorce. You have 72 hours to pack your things and leave. I've already had the lawyers prepare the papers. Sign them, and you can go quietly. Claire stared at me. Her expression was unreadable.
Notaires.
No soc, just a strange, unsettling calm. Damian, she said, her voice quiet but steady. Do you know why I was chosen for this marriage? Do you know why the VC firm insisted on me? Because you were cheap and malleable, I said dismissively. You were a way to make the investors feel like I was grounded. You were nothing more than a prop. Claire nodded slowly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small USB drive, something I had never seen before. She placed it on the coffee table in front of her. Damian, she said, I'm not just the daughter of a science teacher and a nurse. I am the daughter of Dr. Evelyn Hart and Professor David Hart. My mother was the lead engineer on the team that developed the proprietary encryption algorithms that Sterling Technologies is built on, and my father was the patent attorney who filed those patents. They died in a car accident 5 years ago, leaving everything to me. The patents are in my name. The core technology of your entire company, the one that's worth $3 billion, belongs to me. My blood turned to ice. I stared at her, my mind reeling. The encryption algorithms were the backbone of my company. They were the reason we had beaten every competitor, the reason we had become the dominant force in Silicon Valley. Did if they belonged to her? That's impossible, I said. I bought those patents from the estate. I have the paperwork. You bought a shell, Claire said calmly. My mother knew the risks of selling her life's work to a corporation. She structured the patents so that they could only be transferred if I signed off on the deal. You never got my signature. You never even asked. You assumed I was just a simple housewife who didn't understand business. You were wrong. She stood up. Her posture was different now, confident, commanding. The woman I had dismissed as a simple homemaker suddenly seemed like the CEO she should have been. I have the divorce papers here, she said, pulling a thick folder from her bag. I've already had my lawyers draft them. You will receive no settlement. You will receive no alimony. You will vacate this penthouse by midnight tonight, and you will never contact me again. If you try to fight me, I will revoke your license to use my mother's encryption algorithms. Without them, your company is worth zero, that the investors will abandon you. The board will fire you. You'll be left with nothing but lawsuits and bankruptcy. I grabbed the papers. MY hands were trembling. Did I scan them, searching for a loophole, a mistake, anything? But the documents were ironclad. They were written by the best intellectual property lawyers in the country. Claire, please, I said, my voice cracking. This is insane that I didn't know who your parents were, that I made a mistake. I was a fool. Please, give me another chance and I'll make it up to you. I'll be a better husband, Al. She cut me off with a dismissive wave. You had 5 years to be a better husband, Damien. 5 years to see me, to appreciate me, to love me. You chose to ignore me. You chose to belittle me. You chose to treat me like a servant, and now you get to live with the consequences of those choices. I don't need your apologies. I don't need your love. I don't need anything from you. I'm free. And you are destroyed. She walked to the door. She didn't look back. You have until midnight, Damien. And if you're not gone by then, my lawyers will have you escorted out in handcuffs. The door closed behind her. I stood in the penthouse that I had built, feeling the walls closing in around me. I had lost everything. My wife, my empire, my future. All of it gone in an instant. The weeks that followed were a descent into hell. The press had a field day. Billionaire heir loses everything. Damien Sterling's humiliation. Claire Hart reveals secret patent. My reputation was shredded. MY friends abandoned me. Victoria Blackwood, my beloved mistress, the woman I had destroyed my marriage for, dropped me the moment she realized I had no money. She was already dating a hedge fund manager. I was left with nothing. The investors panicked. The board called an emergency meeting. Without the encryption algorithms, my company was a shell. The valuation plummeted. The lawsuits started piling up. I was sued by shareholders, by business partners, by everyone I had ever wronged. I spent my life savings on legal fees, but it wasn't enough. I declared bankruptcy. I lost everything. I moved into a tiny studio apartment in a rundown part of town. I couldn't afford my old lifestyle, couldn't even afford a card. I started looking for work, but no one would hire me. My reputation was destroyed, that I was a pariah, a laughingstock. Months passed. I was forced to take a job as a dishwasher at a diner. Just to keep the lights on, I scrubbed pots, washed dishes, cleaned up after customers who had no idea who I used to be. I looked in the mirror every morning and saw a hollow shell of a man, a shadow of my former self. But the worst part was seeing Claire. She was everywhere, on magazine covers, on television, on billboards. She had taken over my company and transformed it into a global powerhouse. She had remarried, a kind, successful engineer who adored her. She was happy, radiant, thriving. She had everything I had thrown away. One night, I was sitting in a dimly lit bar, nursing a cheap beer, when she walked in. She was with her husband, laughing at something he had said. She saw me across the room. Her expression didn't change. She simply walked toward me. Damien, she said, it's been a while. Claire, I said, my voice cracking. I need to talk to you. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was a fool. I was arrogant. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. Please, can we talk? I'm begging you. She looked at me with those warm hazel eyes, but there was no warmth in them now. Just a quiet, final emptiness. Damien, she said, you made your choice. You chose greed over loyalty. You chose ambition over love. You chose a woman who would never have loved you over a woman who would have given you everything. You don't get to come back now. Begging for crumbs? You're a cautionary tale, a lesson for other men who think they can treat women like stepping stones. Goodbye, Damien. She turned and walked away, and I called after her. But she didn't look back, and I sat in the bar, alone, the tears streaming down my face. I had lost everything. MY company, MY money, MY reputation, MY dignity. And the only woman who had ever truly loved me. Years passed, I remained a dishwasher, stuck in a dead-end life. I never recovered. I never remarried. I spent my nights replaying every moment of my marriage, every cruel word, every dismissive glance. I thought about Claire's smile, her kindness, her unwavering loyalty, and I realized that I had been the villain all along, that I had been given the greatest gift in the world, and I had thrown it away. One day, I was washing dishes at the diner when I saw a familiar face on the television mounted in the corner. It was Claire being interviewed about her latest innovation, a groundbreaking new encryption technology that was revolutionizing the tech industry. She was using my company to change the world. She was happy. She had found her purpose. And I was scrubbing burnt eggs off a frying pan. I sank to my knees, sobbing. The dishwater splashed over the floor. I felt the weight of my mistakes crushing me. I had been such a fool. Such an arrogant, entitled fool, and there was no going back. I looked up at the screen, at Claire's face, and I whispered, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." But she couldn't hear me, and even if she could, it wouldn't have mattered, because I had destroyed everything we could have had. I had destroyed myself.